The pass from Havili was magic. The shift on for Crotty. Boom, far down you go, Quackett Smith.
Me, oh my, I have enjoyed that. Yes, boy.
Sit back, relax, put your belt on, enjoy.
Draft Rugby, the game they play online in heaven.
Welcome to the Draft Rugby show. This is season 5, episode 16. And the Draft Rugby show is where we talk about fantasy rugby, the game they play online in heaven. Tonight I am joined by Harry. How are you, Harry?
Very, very good as always. Although we won't talk about last week's fantasy results. That's probably the one blight on my season after, the 1 week we didn't record, actually, I've got a bone to pick straight off the bat. The 1 week we didn't record, I was actually on top of the table.
We wait to dessert for grievances. I
was on top of the table, mate, and we didn't even record. Outrage. Right, okay. Absolute outrage. I'm not anymore. Spoiler.
Look, I probably was going to let you get away with it if you didn't go back and try and talk about how you were top of the table last week. But no, you did, in fact, play your brother, Nelson Dale, who did... Is it the second time he's pipped you this season? It sure is. And so he has returned to the top of the table. And look, like you, I'm also glad that he's not here tonight joining us so that we don't have to hear about it all night, which is good. But I figured, speaking of the OG league and where we all are, it's I think we can finally say that we know what we're talking about because finally the three of us, the three podcasters, are the top three on the table. So it just shows that you put in the mahi and you get the treats. So
I think it also shows that our competitors have stopped listening.
Yeah, that's true. We know we can look at the numbers; they've gone down from 7,000 listeners a week to 6,990 or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. So that's it. But no, we didn't do a pod last week. We were all just couldn't make it happen. But Nelson's not joining us today, but we thought we'd rip through one. What happened since we last spoke to you, I suppose, rounds 8, 9, and we're previewing round 10. So I think we'll probably just skip over round 8 and just jump straight into an entree with a little bit of a quick review on how Super Rugby Pacific round 9 went. Sorry, I was checking out another further notes, but no, let's just jump straight in. So our entree tonight, Super Rugby Pacific round 9. This was the big bye week, so fantasy managers would have had a tough time figuring out how to hold on to your absolute guns. The byes were the Blues, Crusaders, Brumbies, and the Drua. I know this is certainly something that Harry Nelson and I were thinking of maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago and figuring out how on earth to trade players away to make this happen, given that we had our biggest matchups of the season this week in fantasy. Actually, how have I not spoken about how I not only defeated Nabung for the second time this year, but actually with a postponed match, I beat also our champ from last year, Chrissy Nabung. So I beat the entire Nabung family this weekend. It was fantastic for me in fantasy.
How good.
So that was good. But no, so big bye week. There was, of course, 2 make-up games, though. There was one on a Tuesday. I know we don't normally talk about the Tuesday games, but that was a Hurricanes versus Moana game. And the Canes took that out 53-12. Just, another typical Moana scoreline. And the other make-up game was a big one. It was the top of the table clash in New Zealand, the Crusaders and the Blues. And huge game. Harry, what did you make of that?
Oh, awesome game, mate. Like, just so exciting to watch. I think the Blues really had their number in the first half, and then the Crusaders came back despite a red card and a yellow card and really been down on numbers for the majority of the game. They still somehow forced the issue and almost won the entire match. So awesome game. I can't wait to see more in the final of Super Rugby Trans-Tasman or Pacific when that inevitably happens in about, 8 weeks' time or something like that. So, yeah, they're clearly the best 2 sides in the comp and a great game, great skill level.
Absolutely, that was awesome. And I forget, you might remember about how many years it has been since the Blues have managed to beat the Crusaders. Well, they've never won in that particular stadium, but it had been, I don't know how many years since they had won in Christchurch. But
I only had the stat about the stadium, but pretty awesome. And I think it was I wouldn't say dominant display, but they were well-deserved winners as well. It was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only last point on that was the happiest man in the stadium was Luke Romano, because he now is the only undefeated player in that stadium.
Yeah.
of everyone else, and he was letting everyone know. It was so good.
That is so good. The other games of the week, we had Rebels go down to the Reds 32-36, and which was an absolute ding-dong battle. Perfect for the term. I thought that was a cracker. Vunivalu made his comeback as well. One highlight from him where he set up a big line break down the right-hand side, which I think ended up in a try where he gave his little no-look pass down the sideline after beating him man. So it was good to see him getting in the action as well.
Just dangerous, mate. He looks dangerous anywhere near the pill. That's all you can think.
Now we just want to see bulk minutes from him. Chiefs up 45-12 on Moana, so pretty similar to the Hurricanes game. This was really close to the first choice lineups. I think they still had a couple of rested players from the Chefs, but realistically they both had a good crack at this game, and Moana are just looking tired from playing Kiwi side. Six games in 3 weeks. Like, the very fact that they can put points on anyone at the moment is pretty awesome, really.
That's it. I think what we need is we actually need the Kiwi teams, when they play the Aussies, to have a midweek game against the other Kiwi teams. You know what I mean? So they need to be playing twice the amount of games. But
yeah, that's what I've been
the
going
breaks.
for. 100%.
That would be good.
100%. I think it's the only fair way to do it. The embarrassing thing is they'll probably roll out their B teams for our games and their top teams for their midweek games against the Kiwis. Highlanders 21 versus the Hurricanes 22. This one went right down to the last play with, I think it was the prop trying to edge over the line, and I think he got held up over the line in the end. But
Sal, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Sal, a big unit. He just couldn't quite get the ball down. I think it was the right call, but far out. It's just a game of inches, isn't it? If they'd called it on-field try, I could see that they probably would have allowed it as well, because there was that one part where the arm kind of gets in the way where you don't know if it's just hit the grass or not. So, yeah, sure. Very, very, very tight call. Good game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the Hurricanes, I think the week before they had just gone down to the Crusaders, kind of similarly, felt aggrieved with a call on like the 80th minute. So they were lucky to get up in this one. But I completely agree. It could have gone either way, that call. So, but a good game. Absolutely.
Good to see Aaron Smith having a big blow up as well, just to show that he cares.
Well, that's it. I mean, in the aftermath of the game, so we did have during the week, and we'll talk about them in the previews, but had 3 red cards over in the New Zealand fixtures. Did we have any red cards in the Aussie ones this week? Can't think off the top of my head, but
no, it's changed, mate. It was all the Aussie conference that was getting all the cards in the first half of the season. Now it's flipped, which is perfect because we want them to have the Reds against us. So that's great.
Absolutely, but no, I was going to say, Aaron Smith also feeling particularly aggrieved with. There were 2 red cards given in New Zealand games, but there was a third one where a penalty is now being handed down, but no card was issued to Asafo Amua in that game, where he got away with one, which was fantastic for me, because had he been given that card, I would not have won my fantasy fixture this week. So it was excellent. But no, he's now gone for 3 weeks though. So he's gone for 3. Josh Dixon's gone for 3, and Scotty Barrett's gone for 4. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Scott Barrett's one was pretty bad actually. The last game of the week was the Force 24 going down to the Waratahs 41. I'm not going to lie, and I know I'm a bit biased here, but I reckon that scoreline flatters the Force. Like, they were pretty woeful in this one. The Waratahs just completely had their number, blew the game wide open in the first 15 minutes, and the game was done from there, really. I thought it was an excellent performance for the Waratahs to kind of continue to build in some confidence before the Kiwi games. And the Force are just showing they're just going backwards at a rate of knots right now. I think they need Isaac Rodder back desperately to come in and shore up their defence, probably first and foremost, and just toughen them up a little bit, because they just don't seem to have the commitment in defence at the moment.
Yeah, you're right. And still, I think, look, the only attack happening in the Force is Manase Mata Eli still. We said it a few times, but look, you know that the game's a done deal if Alex Newsom's scoring 2 tries. So, it's
100%.
Says enough. But
I do love that Mata Eli had, I believe it was 15 runs again in this game. So he's just gone, all right, boys, like, I don't care what position I'm listed on the field, like, just make me first receiver every game. and I will run the ball constantly. So I think the Force are aware of the fact that Mateo is their only line breaker, and I think he's well aware of it as well. And I just, as a man that traded him in for Humbossi a few weeks ago, I just wanted, the only reason I took him was because he was having so many runs, and they're going up each week. So I reckon by the end of the Kiwi games where they're getting pasted by the Kiwi sides, he'll have 25 runs a game.
Oh, mate, when he starts playing against the Kiwis, he'll start getting to pick and drives as well. You know, he will literally just make sure he has all the possession. So
he'll be playing 8 at the back of the scrum just so he can pick the ball up and just cut out the rest of the team. So anyway, looking forward to that. The fantasy man of the week, absolutely berserk from Eteni Nanaisaturo. He had 104 points. He had 2 tries, a try assist as well, 11 runs for 134 metres over that 10 runs a metre that we look for, 5 line breaks, 7 tackle busts, an offload, 5 from his 5 tackles, and he still only had 71 minutes played. So imagine if he played the whole 80. Just absolutely mental.
Crazy. Yeah, exactly. They took him off the last 10 minutes against Pacifica as well. You know, that could have been another 3 tries for him. Who knows? But no, he was mental. Not only I think the hot stepping that we're used to. Like obviously he's got his seven tackle busts, but sorry, he's got 5 line breaks. But mate, he was bumping off some people as well. Who did he? There was someone massive that he bumped off.
It was
Tavanawai. Yeah, couldn't believe it.
He did it easy. And he's now officially the top scoring player on averages in the entire comp. He's on 54 points compared to Kurt Eklund running in second at 52. And Angus Bell only on 49 points. A pretty quiet season for him.
Yeah, exactly. He's just warming up, really.
That's right. 100%.
He's been saving it for the Kiwis, is what he's been doing. But
absolutely.
But no, Nanaisaturo, that was absolutely mental. So and you have to feel for Tavanawai. I've come to I feel like if we were doing the pod last week, we probably would have been talking about Tavanawai forever. But I've come to love him. But he just did not have an answer for Nanaisaturo. He got bumped off eventually. Otherwise, he was going around him. He just couldn't deal with him. It was awesome to watch.
It was interesting to see the Chiefs just shut him down completely as well. They had this big midfield rush defence, and it was quite clearly a ploy to stop them getting the ball wide to players like Tavanawai, and he really didn't have an impact. He's a freak of nature, and I think they identified that and just never let him get into the game because he's just...
Not let him get the ball ever. Mentally. That was the plan.
Yeah. Shout out to Salisi Rayasi, 88 points, kind of getting back to the scores that we thought we were going to see from him all season when he finally gets a run.
And that's only from 1 try as well, you know what I mean? Like the rest of that is just busts and everything. Yeah.
Dalton Papali'i, 78 points. Thank God I traded him away, but this is a make-up game for me. He went mental, which I love. Easily his best game of the year. Plenty of tackles, had that one great run to score his try where people just falling off him as well. It's probably the first game I've been really impressed by him this year. Very, very good.
And look, I'll give you your credit where it's due. I mean, I think you'd been saying he's due for a big game. You know, I think we all expected, frankly, him to be playing like this throughout most of the season, captaining the Blues. But he has been really, really quiet. And I think you've said the last couple of weeks that he's due for a big game. And it just happened to be the make-up game where you still had him. So
he's not in my team anymore.
and lastly, Will Jordan, 74 points. Just, I mean, you know, I feel like if we did the worth a mention, Will Jordan would be in it every week if he wasn't the fantasy man of the week. So,
well, he's been pretty inconsistent. He's still 4th overall, you know. So it's just ridiculous. Look, in the 60s, you also have Matty Phillip, Richie Mo'unga, Kabus Ilof, Dave Parecki, and Asaf Ramua. So plenty of big scores there. Super sub for the week, mate. Take it away.
Taniela Tupou, the Tongan Thor, came off the bench. I did play, even though I had to get as much of a starting team as I could to play my rival. You have all the confidence in the world of Tupou coming off the bench. That's as good as a starting player. And he delivered, mate. He came on, bagged himself a try, absolutely nailed the swan dive this time round. 3 tackle busts, a line break, 7 carries for not many metres, 16 metres, but and a big 0 of 1 tackles made. So huge.
He knew which end to score the fantasy points, put it that way.
Correct. But so that was good to see. And then the Captain Mud Award for the biggest dud, Josh Dixon. No surprises, really. Minus 21 points for a red card for the shoulder to the face. You got a feel for these locks. I think, really, it would be a guess between Dixon or Scott Barrett, who got who would get the higher negative score, but it's really just how long into the game did it occur. But you've got to feel for these locks. I understand you feel for the front. I feel for the front rowers getting the cards in the clean-outs, but for the locks trying to get down for these tackles where everyone's dipping, you got to feel for them. Just
a little bit. I mean, you still got to know, he didn't bend at the waist, man.
No,
you got to at least try, though. I get it's harder, but at least try.
True. It's
all right. The main course, round 10, almost super round, not so super round, partially super round. I'm not sure what to call it anymore. This week, every game that's been played is at Amy Park. We were pretty keen to get down there, but didn't happen because, mate, you prioritised the F1. That's basically the reason, isn't it?
No, because I had organised to go to the Formula One before Super Round got announced. That's why. Exactly. I know that's not an excuse. Could still go this weekend, but instead I'm going to the Battle of the Beaches up at Rat Park, so that will be really good. So still going to rugby, but no, the reason Harry said almost Super Round is because, of course, we've had one game cancelled. We thought we had done it. We thought we got through 9 rounds. We'd made up all of the postponed fixtures, and we were back to every game happening every week as scheduled. No more buys. It was going to be beautiful. But, of course, the Western Force decided that they did not want to play any Kiwi teams, so that they were going to postpone the game this week for as indefinitely, as long as possible. No, they have pretty extensive COVID throughout the squad and had to make the call today to postpone the game. It's going to be interesting to see when they can postpone it. It was, it seems a little easier to make up games when you were in the same country all the time, but now the Force and Moana are going to have to find a time when they're both in the same country to make up a game. So a little bit more challenging, but hopefully they can do that.
Sure, it should be pretty doable. So first game of this one that I want to talk about just briefly is the Super W final. We talked about the Waratahs versus the Fijiana Andrua a couple of weeks ago, and the Andrua got up. I think you and I tipped Fijiana and Nelson tipped the Tars, didn't he? So, well, I mean, there's been a couple of injuries. I think Arabella McKenzie might have been injured, the young 10. So,
oh no, you mean the team? Sorry,
no, not quite that bad. But
no,
what are your thoughts? Do you think the Tars can actually tighten the gap or get the win, or is it kind of one-way traffic?
Well, look, I guess they certainly. I don't think they really knew what the work-ons were until they played the Fijiana. You know what I mean? They hadn't really been challenged in that way until this game.
Yeah,
and so they will. It's funny. After every game, you hear the interviews, they say, "Oh, look, we'll take the learnings, we'll hit the books, we'll hit the reviews." But really, I think this is an instance where for the Tars, they needed that first game. Well, as we said, it is the first of 2 grand finals when they played a few weeks ago. We said this is going to be the final in a few weeks' time. So I do think, look, the Tars, they've obviously won, I think it's the last 4 years, 4 years in a row. Yeah, for a reason. So I do think that they will have been able to identify the work-ons and, be able to really implement that strategy. So, yeah, I guess if I have to tip it, I'm going to back the Tars to get up in this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight. Tars, I love that the Tars been talked about like they didn't play well when they won the semi-final 36-0 over the Reds. They had a shocking game from them. Really, really average, against a big competitor for them. But I love that the Brums pushed Fijiana pretty close, 17-7 in the week before that as well. So I think that there's probably a few holes that have been shown there on how to play them. The Brums played a lot smarter than the Tars did when they went up against them. And I think the last time they played, it was 29-10 as well. So they've got some work to do, but they just played so badly last time that I think it's going to be really tight. I was tempted originally to tip the Tars, but I think if Arabella McKenzie is injured, if I'm right about that, then I think that'll probably be the difference. Yeah. Just they need all hands on deck if they're going to make it happen. But I'm going to call maybe 5 points to Fijiana.
Yeah, no, sorry. Look, I don't like doing the flip-flop, but Arabella McKenzie's that big that I think you could be right. But look, I'm going to stick with the Tars just so we have a point of difference.
Yeah, love it. Next game, folks.
All right, so on Friday, we've only got one game this week. Obviously, the biggest game of the round, other than the Super W Grand Final, which is the Chiefs and the Waratahs Friday night in Melbourne. So that'll be good. New injuries for this one. So the Tars lost Lalakai Foketi. I'm not entirely sure what to. Actually, I don't think that's featured in the casualty ward yet, but he has not been named. So the spoilers to the dessert and grievances section again, but we've got all of the Australian team lineups and we have the Chiefs. We don't have the rest of the Kiwi ones, but
The Chiefs.
no. So in the Aussie lineup, Lalakai, not names. Jamie Robertson to start there at 12. For the Chiefs, new injuries, Brad Weber and Sean Stevenson. So they're both out for what seems like a couple of weeks. Brad Weber with a shoulder. I think they said kind of like an AC joint or something, but they're going to have to go get specialist scans, both Weber and Stevenson, to confirm what their injuries are or how severe they are.
Yeah.
Returning, we have Benny Donaldson for the Tars. So the Tars now have all three of the Prodigal Son 10s available and named in the team list. So that'll be interesting. I'm sure we'll spend a lot of time discussing that tonight or in the future. And the Chefs have quite a few names returning. We've got Samasoni Takiaho, who I'm not sure if was rested last week or was pulled pre-game. I forget why.
So many changes. I know the Chiefs are a bit more cautious with their COVID returns and things as well. So hard to say. They're a bit grey on that stuff.
Yep. And so we also got Sam Kane coming back and Peter Gus Sowakula. Some pretty big names in terms of the scheme of things. Xavier Rowe coming back, very well timed with Brad Weber being out injured. They've elected to let Ratimer hold his starting jersey and Rowe return from the bench, although he'll be the preferred option. And I don't know, I put it in returning instead of injured, but Nanai Saturo was not listed again, kind of as he's seemingly been all season. He's just not been listed now and then for whatever reason. So he's not on the team sheet, and we don't know why, but he didn't appear to be injured when he went off in the 71st minute that I can recall. But
no, they haven't named anything either. You haven't found anything on that?
No, actually, I haven't checked the actual Chiefs press release though, because sometimes they do list why they're unavailable for selection. So we'll have to check that. But yeah, I mean, look, I'll ask your thoughts on this. Maybe I'll ask your thoughts on the Tars, Harry, and I'll just point out some things with the Chiefs. So I suppose Tars Chiefs, the Chiefs haven't really rolled out this, what I'm going to call like Rolls Royce back row almost all season. So they have Luke Jacobson at 6, Sam Kane at 7, and Peter Gus at 8. Are you saying they haven't had that at all?
No, they haven't, because obviously Jacobson was injured for a long while, and then as he was coming back, they took the chance to rest Peter Gus as well.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure if maybe at the very start they had it or not, but no, this is clearly their first choice back row, and it is, I mean, there's two All Blacks, and Peter Gus has been talked about, trying to force his way in there this year, and has been the form back rower of this season so far. So great to know that they've got this coming back for when they're playing us, the Tars.
Yeah,
but awesome. And look, I mean, apart from that, their forward pack is majority All Blacks. We've got 2 young All Black locks. We've got, Tarvau and Takiaho, and Aiden Ross is, kind of on the fringe, the cusp of that kind of stuff as well. So really, really class forward pack. And I think that's where they're going to really come at the Tars through that.
Yeah, I think Quinn Tapia as well being played on the wing. So I think that'll be really interesting to see how he goes. I think he's been probably a bit below his best this year. So it'll be interesting to see how they go, just taking a bit of pressure off him and just allowing him, if he gets a bit of space, to, I guess, maybe have an excuse to express himself and just try and get back to his best, damaging runner that he can be. So I hope that doesn't happen this week, but I suspect maybe that's the reason. And it obviously gives Paul Hippie another chance at inside centre as well, after he was pretty good.
Well, that's one of those things with Tapia. I mean, we had him earmarked as, perhaps the top centre this year before the initial draft. And we know that certainly last year they used him a lot. They would start him at centre and move him to the wing. Like, we know he's got wheels and he can play on the wing as well. But interestingly, that they seem to be starting him on the wing here. I guess, really to give Paul Hippie another crack, but they do really seem to be lacking in outside backs, which has normally never been the case for the Chiefs. So really interesting.
Yeah, just so many injuries, mate. It's pretty hard there for everyone. But I think the only real chink in this team at the moment is Cortez Retima. Surely the Tars have got to just try and pressure their young number 9 around the ruck, try and make sure they get really average ball out to Bryn Gatland, who I think has probably exceeded expectations with how good he's been this year. So if they can slow down the ruck ball and just try and take his time and space away, then, it is, I guess, a little bit disrupted in that 9, 10, 12 axes. And then even then you got Chase Tier at fullback, who probably isn't completely comfortable in this side either, despite his, obvious X factor that he does have. So it's going to be a big ask to try and stop the firepower in this side, but I think the Waratahs are going to just have to try and trash the ball, really.
Yeah, I think you've hit it bang on the head. Jake Gordon is going to be all over Radimer. Just he will not give him a inch. But no, that's going to be good. And I think, look, just before we move on to the Tars, two players that have really impressed me, and yes, definitely some bias here as they have found their way into my fantasy team. But Josh Lord, I think he's been fantastic in the games that he's started. I mean, he's started quite a few games now, but just really gets through a lot of work, makes some great runs, but also absolutely key operator in the set piece and the lineouts. He's been really good. And Alice Nankervel, who has been a bit hot and cold. I mean, we've talked about him for years, that he's been a bit of a weapon. I think last week showed that he's clearly much, much better at 13 than he is in the 12 jersey.
Yeah.
And much better used in this Chiefs side. But, I mean, he had an absolute blinder last week, bagged himself 2 tries and just was dangerous every time he got the ball in his hand. So actually looking forward to seeing him, play some more, but even at the expense of the Aussie teams. But should be good.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting. I think the big takeaway for me is number one. Sorry, on the Chiefs line out, they've been winning 88% of their own ball, so it's not amazing without being terrible as well. But obviously, they have had a lot of chopping and changing there. So considering the amount of change in their key personnel for the line out, it's actually pretty solid. And I agree, Josh Lord's got a big future ahead, if not just currently already there. And then I just wanted to point out as well, the Tars had the highest tackling stats, I think, across the competition, one-on-one tackling stats. So I think it's going to be a new test, tackling the Kiwis rather than the Aussies. But if they're to have a chance here, that tackling consistency is going to be a big thing for them as well. So I think hopefully we're going to see Holloway trying to hold the man up again and get a few turnovers there. You got Gamble and Hooper, who we still haven't worked out the best name for them, by the way, Gooper or Hoopamble or Pamble. I don't know.
Wasn't it just Gooper? I don't know.
Gooper, it sounds like a goober. Like I'm not sure that's positive.
Yeah, but Cooper's got to be better than Pooper from back in the day,
Yeah, that's him, actually. But I think there's a pretty clear tactic there that they are going to try and just outwork the Chiefs and just try and hold the ball up in tackles and turn the ball over as much as they can. So Nick Berry is the ref, actually. I think this is important because how they ref the breakdown is going to be massive. And I think the Aussie refs have been pretty lenient, and just anyone that puts their hands on the ball, supporting their body weight or not, always gets a penalty. So hopefully that means that that's an opportunity there for the Aussies as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be interested to see if those tackling stats were before or after Mark Nwanganitawase was starting on the wings. But still, the way he's been playing, excited to watch him play. But yeah, speaking of Tars, look, I mentioned the 3 fly halves. So we've got Tait Edmed starting 10, holding that jersey, with Ben Donaldson returning from injury off the bench. Actually, forget what his injury was, but he has been out for 4 or 5 weeks, I think, or at least 4 weeks. Harry's just looking it up quickly, but we've got Will Harrison, calf tear, okay. And we've got Will Harrison starting in the fullback jersey, which has pushed Newsom over to the wing and Dylan Peach to the bench. So I think we've discussed it before. Harrison, Coleman really does like him as a fullback option, and they don't really have anyone else that they see there. We've talked James Ram, Marky Mark, just whatever. But Will Harrison has looked really good there. Kind of like similar combination to Bowden Barrett in at 10 and pair of franchise at 15. Just having those 2 playmakers at 10 and 15 sometimes works really well, and it works really well with these guys. So. Will be interesting to see if Edmed can hold his jersey down. I think he's played pretty bloody well the last few weeks over Donaldson, but I don't know. How do you see that going?
There's just nothing to split them, mate. It's just whoever gets the opportunity at the moment, and I think they're just going to continue to reward form. So as soon as Edmed makes a few mistakes and has a bad game, it'll be Donaldson's chance, and then no doubt he'll have a good run as well because they're both exceptional players. But again, it'll be a new challenge, actually seeing what happens when the Waratahs are put under a bit more pressure by the likes of Luke Jacobson, Sam Kane, Tupo Vai'i, Suakula, Takiaho likes being on the ball. So it will definitely be a bit more of a fight around that ball. And I think the Kiwi games in general have been a lot slower out of the ruck as well. I think they're contesting pretty hard in that area. So it will be very interesting to see how that goes. And I like that they just shift Newsom around wherever is needed. And I think Dylan Peach it's not quite a grievance, but man, that left to right pass to Fiketti
Oh,
It was one of the worst things I've ever seen. Like, I saw the chats going off of, wow, that was the worst pass I've ever seen. I thought, yeah, righto, everyone throws a bad pass. It was dead set, arguably the worst pass I've ever seen.
yeah, that has got to be one of the most bombed tries that I've ever seen.
I loved it that it was to Nelson's guy. But so forget he didn't score the try. I felt a bit better about it that way. But no, deserves to sit on the bench after that one, to be honest with you. But what do you think, mate? There's obviously some size on the bench for the Tars as well. They're still trying to work out how to get Cridge into the game. Raboni, Warren, Vaseatho as well. So a bit of punch there to keep contesting late in the game. But is it enough? Will the Tars have a chance to get over the Chiefs, or what's going to happen?
Yeah, look, I mean, normally in this game, I would say, look, I've just talked up the Chiefs forward pack, and whilst certainly I think they're a class above the Tars forward pack, this Tars front row, I mean, they're not going to get bullied in the scrum, tell you that much. This Tars front row has been absolutely killing it. And normally I feel like I would say, maybe the Tars will be able to match up in the forwards, but the backs, the Chiefs would have have it over them. But so this week, the Chiefs are missing a lot of players. No Anton Leonard-Brown, no Nana Saturo, no Narawa, all these guys. So, as far as the Chiefs, I think are going to get it done just because, it's usually at this point we come in just before we start playing the Kiwi teams with this Aussie optimism of just like, yeah, the boys last week smashed the Force. We're going to get it done. But realistically, I can't see that happening. The Chiefs are going to win, but hopefully not by too much. That's my call.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, mate. I actually reckon the forward pack lines up pretty well team to team, to be honest with you. And I agree the disruption in the Chiefs will be big, but I'm with you. I just can't be that positive after every year going in so naive. I'm going to say the Chiefs by 5 points.
Yeah, I'll go Chiefs by 7. So there we go.
Yeah, very nice. The second game, so Saturday, we covered the Fijiana and Drua versus the Waratahs, but after that, we're going to have the Blues versus the Fijian and Drua as well. No real injuries or anything to...
They both had byes last week, so...
report. Well, I mean, the Blues still played the Crusaders, though.
Sorry, they did, true. In the makeup game, yep.
Yeah, but no, I don't think there was anything out of that. We did have the first game back for Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. I think he came back off the bench at the time. And then on this one as well, we're expecting highly likely that we get Akira Ioane back, who he's in your team, isn't he, Craigs?
How dare you, Harry? That's I feel like I should just hang up now. He's not in my team. I stuffed up in picking him up. I knew that only yourself and Nelson would also have the inside line on when he was coming back, but I perhaps left it a pick too late. So that's it's my fault. Only pretty much my favourite player in the universe. But anyway, that's all good.
We'll move on. We also have Kalaveti Ravavau coming back as well for the Fijian and Drua in the 12 jersey. And interesting that you got...
He's in the 13 jersey, but he's actually, he's the third highest centre. He's absolutely been killing it.
He's in the... he is too.
The lineup's going to blow your mind when you read it because, let's just get straight to it.
Yeah.
They've got 2 9s. We've got Penny Matawalu in the 9 jersey, and we have Simeone Kuravoli in at 10. So we have a scrum half experiment at 10 against the Blues, no less, which is where I draw all the question marks I need for this game, I think. But
don't worry, mate. Frank Lamani is on in the 23 jersey, so he can come on the wing late in the game as well, and they can just line the team up with tiny halfbacks.
Well, look, it's some interesting decisions. They've also got Caleb Muntz, a actual 10 in the 12 jersey.
Yeah.
So
I don't know where this is going.
No, I think they just really like, your halves pairing. They can't go past their halves. They love it. So interesting decisions from Mick Byrne. We don't know. There could be injuries, could be whatever, but you would have had to think that you'd run out Ravavau at 12 and Vota at 13, who have been killing it for the Drua all season. But no, mentioning that, Hambossi. We don't even have Hambossi. We have the player of Super Rugby Pacific Australian Conference so far, not available. So I don't know. We did think that he got pulled off in the last time he played before the bye. It looked like, he might have copped some type of minor injury and they pulled him off kind of as a precaution, and we don't know. I don't think we've got any word on whether that evolved. We got any news on an injury?
No, but the fact that he's not there, I mean, I feel like that's got to be the obvious indication that we thought he was injured. He's not named. That's the only reason. Although he had played every minute up to this, it just seems weird that if you're going to give the bloke a rest, it's after the bye week, though.
Yeah, and against the Blues as well.
Yeah, I mean, having said that, there's no good week now to finish to have a rest.
That's true.
Any other changes? They've rotated their locks around as well. They got Menimbi and Rarasia as well, so no Nasilasila.
No Nasilasila, and yeah.
Yeah, and Darren Alangi captaining again while we're still missing the OG captain Nangusa as well. So there's just a lot of movement in this side, and even Melituni at loose head prop, like they've changed. I just don't understand. I don't understand why you would disrupt a team that was just slowly building at the time. They're going to be up against it. I don't think it really matters who the Blues name here. Actually, the more I look at this, the more I just dread it. I think the only positive to take away here is surely Anisi Ratave gets picked up early in the draft this week, and they just give him the ball like they do Mateele. That's the game plan.
Look, that's got to be the game plan. Ratave, has excited me. I mean, I talked about it at the start of the season, and he kept getting eventually named to start. I think the last game they played, was named to start, 53-odd points. Just absolutely killed it. The guy just kills it every time. But I'm actually also really excited about, I don't know if this is the first time he's played. I don't think it is, but Kirioni Talinga is starting at fullback, another absolute hot stepper. You might have seen on Twitter earlier in the season some big step clip of a big step was Talinga back. I think it was before the season even started. In the trial, exactly. But he's a bigger unit than I thought he was. So but he's got wheels. He's kind of like another Ratave. Very excited to see these two guys have a crack starting in positive news about the team. But yeah, definitely some interesting decisions. And I'd love to see if Kuravoli has played 10 anywhere else because it just blows my mind really. But now onto the Blues.
Talinga as well. He's a Sevens gold medalist as well, and it is his debut as well as the prop that I mentioned as well.
It is his debut as well. Okay, so he hasn't played yet. Yeah, awesome. So he could be anything. You know what I mean? He could be their best player. So it's possible. But yeah. All right, should we jump to the Blues then? I think you nailed it in just saying that given these changes, the Blues kind of can name anyone they want, but if the Chiefs lineup is anything to go by, and yes, the Chiefs have a bunch of injuries, I feel like the Kiwi teams are probably going to try and name stronger sides just for week one of the Aussie conferences, just because it is something different playing the Aussie sides to playing the Kiwi side, particularly teams like this, like playing the Drua. You don't really know what to expect. It's something completely new. It's not going to be the same as playing Moana Pacifica. So I actually feel like they're going to name a pretty strong side. There's lots of articles during the week talking about how the Blues, they got it done against the Crusaders, and now really this Super Rugby Pacific is theirs to lose. They've still got to get 6 out of 6 results against the Aussie teams, and that's the expectation that they got to deliver on it. So I would expect to see a full strength Blues team, and perhaps maybe just with RTS Roger Tuivasa-Sheck back starting in the 12 jersey.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think Parafranchise had a pretty rough day out against the Crusaders, despite the team winning. So I wouldn't be surprised if Zahn Sullivan gets another opportunity in the fullback jersey. So that'll be good to see what he can offer. Despite me, obviously, that's me trying to show I'm not biased towards Parafranchise. How did I go?
Yeah, no, good. And I have to join you in this because I've had him in my team all year, and I've been up on the Parafranchise pedestal as well with you, but
I'm glad.
No, I agree. I'd like to see Zahn have a crack, as good as that Bowden Parafranchise combo has been.
Yeah, and then the other one is I just want to see what they do with Bryce Heem. So obviously Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is back. We all expect him to start in inside centre. I think the All Blacks will be saying that he's got to play there all for the rest of the year as well to try and get some game time finally. So where does that leave Heem? Maybe he's just Mr. Fix-It now and they just plug him in Adam Ashley Cooper style wherever he's needed. But I guess AJ Lamb's wing spot while Caleb Clark's still on a ban might be the other one, It'll be interesting to see if they do just shift him straight out or if he just becomes Mr. Fix-It on the bench as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I tried that point in there because if people might forget, Bryce Heem last year played quite a lot of games on the wing and absolutely killed it. So yeah, he could well transition back there, but I don't know. I think you're right. They might want him as a Mr. Fix-It. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's good to have someone like that and to really give AJ Lamb a chance in Caleb Clark's jersey. Well, I think Caleb's still got another week or two on it before he can come back from his red card.
Yeah, that's right. And look, my vote is just bring back Blam. I think we went into a nostalgia kind of tunnel a couple of weeks ago and we just watched him. Wow, bring him back, please. Anyway, tip. Blues versus Fijian and Drua. Blues by how many?
Look, I'm going to go Blues by. I'm not going to be conservative here. I'm going to go 21. So I'll give it a 3 try.
30, man. I already.
Yeah, I actually thought I wasn't going hard enough with 21.
No, I think that's low. 21 is low.
Yeah. All right. Well.
All right.
I've set it down. So whatever.
Yeah,
you got 30. All right.
Yeah.
Huge.
Hurricanes versus the Reds. So you got the Asafra Moore ban that you mentioned, 3 weeks red card there. James O'Reilly's out. Devon Flanders, Tyrell Lomax, Duplessis Karifi. They've just listed these guys generally as like not available for selection for some reason. So we don't really know the details about that one, but lots unavailable. Reds, you've got James O'Connor's just injured a knee and will be gone for 4 to 6 weeks. I think he said it was in some kind of contact. So he's got I assume it's an MCL injury on the inside of his knee. It's the most likely thing. Right. So he will be out for some time. And Geordie Pataya as well. I think they've just rested to try and make sure that he's going to be fit and healthy. They said Geordie could play this week. It's just literally precautionary rest because, and that's probably a Dave Rennie call. Dave Rennie's liked what he's seen of Geordie at 15 and gone, rest him another week, please. The other thing is, like, if a player reports, oh, my hammy's feeling a bit tight, most of the time I feel like they'll be pushed and played anyway. But with his history, if he reports something like that, I feel like they're just going to go, nah, mate. Like, there's no way. You're having a week off. Have a rest.
You're getting locked in the ice bath for a week, mate, is what's happening.
100%. Yeah, exactly right. So, and then Jock Campbell coming back straight into the fullback jersey to kind of plug that hole for the Reds, which will be good. And
I think that's what has allowed them to rest Geordie this week, I suppose. Like if there was no Jock, maybe we wouldn't have seen this. But yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. And he'll probably play a role as a bit of a second playmaker to help out Lawson Crichton, who's going to fill in for James O'Connor. So we haven't really seen him have much of a chance in the 10 jersey this year. So I think having that support of Hamish Stewart at 12 and Jock Campbell at 15 really means that they can probably unload him probably in a similar way to what they did for Rod Iona at the Brums, where he got the opportunity just to kind of play a role rather than having to play the whole quarterback, directing the whole side around as well. So I think it's quite a smart move from them there and maybe another good excuse to play Campbell.
Yeah, absolutely. And worth noting, Crichton's played 10 through all of his school career and still plays 10 for the Brothers Club at the moment. I'm not sure whether that's with Tait at 9, if Tait plays for Brothers or a different club, but he's definitely a well-accomplished 10. So, and I've frankly liked what we've seen from him when he's come on off the bench. Absolutely. In a number of different positions. I think he's been good.
Yeah, 100%. Harry Hoopert into start as well at loose head. So Dane Zander pushes back to the bench there. The Lukan Salako-Loto still not back.
Still not back, yeah. And no word. So he was he back named and then got pulled pre-game again? And,
like 2 weeks ago or something. Maybe.
We haven't heard since.
Yeah, that's right. So we don't really know what's going on. I think they said the Wednesday night he was seen with ice on his ankle again. So whether he's re-injured it or something like that, but we'll chase that up with hashtag Atco knows. I think I feel like he must have a line there. Connor Vest another chance at 6 as well. I thought he was solid enough. For fantasy manager, I believe he's a lock playing 6 as well.
He is, and he did bag a try against you last week for Nelson. So
not happy about that. I wasn't going to dwell there. And that's about it out of the Reds lineup for changes. I would have thought Angus Scott Young would have gotten another run, surely.
Yeah, that's a bit. I guess that's Brad Thorne often says like he's the only reason he'll drop players is if they stop playing well. So I guess kind of they're impressed enough to get another start.
Yeah, and I hope we see some minutes out of Mac, really, fullback as well. Just more minutes for him, please.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think you nailed it with Jock Campbell just providing some good balance there, but particularly having the dynamite Daugunu and Vunivalu on either wing. Be nice to have a cooler head perhaps instead of Geordie having Jock Campbell back there. And also interestingly, I think they had trained sure we talked about it before, but they trained Jock Campbell to be the backup 10 for James O'Connor. So that we could see, yes, he'll play the double playmaker role, but we could see him eventually go to 10 if Jock's out for the rest of the season.
Yep, yeah, exactly right. Maybe that's how they finish the game as well. Look, for the Hurricanes, obviously Amor, we said, is out. O'Reilly is out now as well. They're down. Somehow they've gone from having just this like absolute embarrassment of riches at hooker to crossing their fingers that Dane Coles is finally back. He didn't seem, I think he had an interview last week where he didn't seem confident that he was going to be back quickly. He was kind of saying, I'm just doing everything I can. So it's a bit of a vague one. They're not giving a lot of info.
It is the only thing I've seen which has given me some cause for hope, having both Asafo Mu and Dane Coles in my fantasy team, is that the picture they've put up for the Hurricanes versus Reds fixture coming this weekend, they have put up Dane Coles front and centre, some other Hurricanes player, and I think Vunivalu or something. So the way that they've just put it up, they're suggesting, I think, that Dane Coles is back. And, obviously there's never been really any impetus for him to be rushed back or anything like that, old man Coles. But I feel like there certainly is now, because they had been, finding random club hookers in Hurricanes, in Wellington to play for the Canes at this stage. So, if there's a good time to come back, it's now, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Who else you got here for changes? I guess the locking battle. You've now got 3 Isaiah Walker-Leawere well and truly back in the selection frame now. So Blackwell, Scrafton, and IWL doesn't roll off the tongue, does it?
Yeah, no.
To get picked. I don't know. I think Scott Scrafton, I think he might be in my team. So I don't know if I sacked him last week. He's been pretty disappointing, to be honest with you. So my gut says it's going to be Blackwell and Walker-Leawere.
Yep.
And then it's just kind of how do they balance the 7 and 6, 7, and 8 jersey as well. I think maybe made easier by some of these changes as well. But I don't know, will they give what's his name, the Firecracker 8 another run as well?
Bradney Yosse. Yeah, I was thinking it could be a good time to send him out again. Obviously, I think, as I said, I think we're going to expect to see the stronger lineups here from the New Zealand teams in the first week at least of Super Rugby Pacific crossover. So, I expect to see probably Artie, Princep, and then it's,
Gibson.
I guess, Gibson has been playing the house down, hasn't he? So probably earned the place there. But I don't know. My big question for the Hurricanes here is 10 is. It's funny. Aidan Morgan has been fantastic, but so young. Jackson Garden-Batcher, won't even give him the light of day to even airtime on this pod. But Ruben Love as well. He's the guy who I really want to see them, give some serious game time to. But it's been interesting that how much we've often talked about putting Geordie in at either 10 or 12 or whatever, and Geordie's, awesome, frankly, at any position in the back line, but putting Geordie into 12 makes such a kerfuffle for the Hurricanes lineup, because it suddenly then means there's 3 centres all competing for that outside centre jersey. There's Peter Umaga-Jensen, Billy Proctor, and Baylor Sullivan, all who have been pretty bloody good. And it then also means they have to have someone playing 15, and they've liked having Ruben Love back there, who's been really, really good. So that then leaves you with the choice of either Jackson Garden-Batcher or really, really young Aidan Morgan in at the 10 jersey. So it's kind of interesting. It's like they're making it hard for themselves. You know what I mean? I don't know how you feel about it, Harry.
I think if they want to put best 15 on the park, it's a no-brainer. You put Xavier at 15. Sorry, you put Geordie Parrott at 15. Also,
I was like, I like it. I don't care.
Play him anyway. No,
he's been that good.
I think best team, you just get him on the park at 15, and then that way it gives you the options of playing, as you said, to the form 3 centres that they've had. Yeah. I can only assume that this is we've said it before on the pod, that this is coming from the All Blacks saying that they need some competition there. I think they're not convinced with Havili. I think Roger Duavasa-Sheck is a bit of a project, so they need some kind of backup there, and it's pretty easy for Geordie with his experience to play the rest of the season at 12 for the Hurricanes and then ship back to fullback for the All Blacks, and I think he'll take to it like a duck to water. So I think it's just developing that depth and giving the All Blacks some cover and options, which makes him, I guess, almost a lock for the top 23 of New Zealand for the World Cup. So I think he'd be probably pretty comfortable with experimenting with that as well.
Yeah, I agree. And in terms of the outside backs, obviously we mentioned Ray Arce, 88 points last week, had a blinder. Julian Sevilla, I don't think he got a mention, but he was probably in the 50s. He also had an awesome game. I was frothing on him, bumping everyone off, just left, right, and center. The bus is well and truly back. It was like I was watching Speed 3, the movie or something. You know what I mean? It was that good. But also, Wes Hussein has also been really, really good when he's been given some opportunities. So, I mean, it was earlier in the year there was an article about putting Julian Sevilla at 12 for the All Blacks. You know what I mean? But that's clearly not going to happen with Geordie. So, yeah, just a kind of embarrassment of riches. And they're left with, at fullback, you've kind of got either Ruben Love or Josh Morby that had given a few goes. But I don't know how you fit everyone in, really. I mean, could Wes Goosen play fullback? I don't even know.
I think he can. He can also play outside center, so put him in that mix there as well. Look, as you said, just embarrassment of riches. And look, the only other thing I'd say is TJ just closing in on that record. Is he 2 or 3 behind the all-time try-scoring record now?
Yeah, he's above. Well, all I know is he's above Julian, and yeah, he's 2 or 3. I think away from the record. He overtook Christian Cullen. I forget who else he's just overtaken, but. He's not only far away from the Hurricanes record, he's also from the entire Super Rugby record, right?
Oh, yeah.
Was that what you were talking about? Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Perenara is on 57 tries. Izzy Folau's at 60. You got Doug Howell at 59 and Caleb Ralph on 58. So he's knocking them down. Julian Sevilla is on 56, so he's only one behind them. And, geez, if he's named for the next 5 games, 6 games... Oh. Yeah. Franchises, mate, that's 6 tries, isn't it?
Oh, mate, if you were Julian Sevilla, surely you'd be paying the coach $1 million. Just be like, start me the next 6 games, please. I want to have the all-time scoring record.
Any good, mate. It's far out. That is on. I didn't realise that he was that close as well.
Well, the reason is because he got all of those before he left. He's probably only scored about 3 or 4 tries since he's come back to New Zealand. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But no one thought there was going to be any more in him, and he just is. He's so good. Okay, so with that, Hurricanes versus the Reds, mate, there's obviously a few changes to what we thought the lineup might be for the Reds. We're assuming the Hurricanes roll out their top side. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, sorry. Now, we've talked about the 2 teams individually, not kind of how they're going to go against each other, haven't we? But in this one, look, I think the Reds look really good, actually. That Reds back row has been absolutely lit. Fraser McRide, Harry Wilson. The front row's been firing. Taniela Tupou back in to start. And whilst they haven't had Lukan Salakaia-Lotto, I think the 2 locks, Angus Blythe and Ryan Smith, have been kind of just getting through a lot of work. So losing James O'Connor is a big loss. If James O'Connor was there, I guess I'd feel very differently about this. I'd be saying I think the Reds are in with a chance, absolutely. But without James O'Connor, again, I think that my Aussie optimism is gone, and I think the Hurricanes are going to win this game. But I definitely feel closer than the Tars and Blues. Tars and Chiefs. So. I actually think I just think the Reds have been looking really good. So I'm going to say the Canes by 5.
Right. You mentioned the Reds locks. They have been pretty workmanlike, but they have a line-out success of 75%, which is pretty woeful. So
that's because they've had a new hooker every week.
Don't get me wrong, it doesn't help, but it doesn't change the fact that they've got a dysfunctional line-out. So I think that's a pretty big problem from the Reds. I expect them to walk over the Hurricanes, the scrum, though, at the same notion. So, maybe that'll equal out. I guess the big thing here is basically how does Lawson Crichton go? And how much does that change the side? I think James O'Connor's been pretty instrumental in how the team has played. So because of that, I think it's going to be a big, big out. And even though Crichton's good, I don't know that he's had enough time with the side to really just slot in. So because of that, I'm going to go the Hurricanes by... I did have the Reds tip before those changes for the record. But I'm going to go the Hurricanes by... Well, you said 5, didn't you? Got to go 7 then, don't I?
That's it. Yeah, I mean, if I had James O'Connor, I'd almost feel comfortable saying I would tip the Reds to get it done by a couple, 1 or 2 or something, But
I did have it. Yeah, I had it at 3 points before those changes. So, and obviously Patara as well.
Although that said, if Crichton is coming up against Jackson Garden Bachop, then surely he can just run circles around him because it's Jackson Garden Bachop.
Except for the fact that Artie Severa will be coming off the back of the scrum.
Yeah, no, okay, I take it back. That's fine. All right, well, moving on. Let's get on to the Sunday games to round us out. We've got 2 p.m. the Highlanders and the Brumbies. New injuries to report on this one. Josh Dixon, 3-week suspension for his red card, as mentioned. He's fairly instrumental in that Highlanders set piece and just leadership group. Marino Michele 2 was pulled pre-game, so he was there warming up, did something. I don't think they actually specify what it was.
No.
But just tweaked something. I don't know how major or massive it was, but we'll hear something. And Denny Solomona, the English international, got his first start, and within about 10 minutes, looked like he did something to his hamstring, and so he went straight off the field. And again, we haven't got any further updates on that yet, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess, with their lineup when they announce it tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully we get a little bit more clarity on why something is happening or why they're in or out and what the actual injury is. But again, pretty disruptive for their side. On the Brumbies, you do have Caterin Neville.
I love that you lean into it now. That's good.
That's right. Mate, he's back starting. So I think Frost is he out of the 23, Frost?
Yeah, Frost is out of the 23. I'm loving that because I just traded for Josh Lord last week. This is fantastic for me.
How good. So Caden Neville back in there. So it'll be interesting to see how he holds up to his war, the Wallabies' greater squad selection.
I was going to say selected and hasn't played since like round 1 of Super Rugby, but still selected in that Wallabies squad.
And Noah Alessio finally back from this ankle sprain as well. So I think he's a big in just to help steer the ship. You still got Cam Clark at 14, Tom Wright at 15. So they're still a little bit thin on the ground for their outside backs. Just desperate, I think, to get someone like a Chris F. Sortia or someone like that in just to add a little bit more depth. And they're just running out the random front rows every week. They've got Slipper and Fainga on the bench. They've got Scott Seo and Lockie Lonergan starting, and there's no Allan Alaalatoa anywhere. Sefo Kautai still starting as well with Tom Ross on the bench. So part of me thinks that they're just saying, well, we're going to try and keep the units together. Slipper's had some big minutes. Scott Seo needs an opportunity, so we'll give him the opportunity just to keep playing some starting minutes there, and that it's all just a tactical thing. But Allan, mate, he out of the 23, there must be something going on there that we're missing.
And this is the 3rd week that he hasn't played or been named. So, and I would know because he's in my fantasy team. But so yeah, I don't know what it is. We haven't heard a peep out of the Brumbies regarding Allan. We might have to arc up on Twitter and say, "Where's Allan?"
Yeah, Echo knows. Yeah, very good. Other than that, mate, not a lot of changes to the side. Andy Muirhead still running on the left wing as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do to try and negate the Highlanders. I think the Highlanders have been better than maybe their win-loss record suggests. My expectation is, again, they're not going to make many changes. I think they've got Thomas Umunga Jensen, who's just had his first game back, who I expect to be at his damaging best. That shifts Scott Gregory to the wing. And I think the only change that I could see for them is they'll start for Tuli Paya at 13. Other than that, it'll probably be the exact same side that we saw last week. Who have they got to sub in for Josh Dixon? Maybe Manaki Selby Rickett. Is he close?
I don't know about him coming back, but there's
guy
who came on and scored a try was Hicks, someone Hicks. So he's kind of next in line is Sam Hicks and Bryn Evans, the 39-year-old All Black or whatever. But so no, I agree. But look, I think for the Landers, I think you're right. I think they'll be the hungriest team in New Zealand for a win. You know what I mean? They'll be licking their lips going, finally, we can get some W's on the board. I think it'll be big to see whether Marino Michele 2 is back or not. Although that said, Gareth Evans had probably the game of his life last year for the Highlanders.
Awesome.
So he was really, really good. And they brought in Hugh Renton, who also got promoted to the starting team after Michele 2 was pulled out. But
I feel like this is just going to come down to how the Brumbies play the game. I feel like they've gone back to, in the last few weeks, favouring their rolling maul above all else. They've been scoring a lot of tries off the back of it. They do have the variations to kind of throw the ball out wide, which I don't think are going to work quite as well with the defence of someone like the Highlanders, who are, just a lot of pace and dogged defenders. But I think if they can get their rolling maul going, that could be the difference if they can bank a couple of tries that way. I reckon that's probably the the barometer for who wins this game.
That's it. And I mean, the Highlanders themselves have been scoring some tries off rolling mauls. I think that's been the Justin Marshall barometer of, all the chat in New Zealand about hating rolling mauls. But this game could come down to a rolling maul off, really. That's what this game could be. And yeah, it will be interesting. I mean, I think we haven't talked enough about it, but Noah Lolesio coming back is massive. No real discredit to Rod Iona, but it's chalk and cheese, really. Just the attacking options that Lolesio brings, just the doubt that he causes with his running game is awesome, and it's going to take a lot of pressure off. I think it looked fairly one-dimensional with Iona. They were playing off Simone as the playmaker most of the time. Yeah. So now this is going to bring a lot more options, a lot more doubt. But you're right. It'd be interesting to see how the Brumbies go. Again, I have no idea how I'm going to tip this game. So I know you've already put in tips, but look, I mean, I'd like to think the Brumbies can win this, but I'm going to let you pick first, Harry, so I can still think about it.
Brumbies by 2.
Brumbies by 2. Okay.
Back to you.
I haven't picked an Australian team winning yet, have I?
No.
Oh well, then I'm going to go Brumbies by 3 then, just
very good,
because I'm not picking the next game for an Aussie team to get a win. So
maybe
no, definitely not. But no, I think this will definitely be. I don't know, probably.
It has to be our best chance, man. It has to be our best chance. Brumbies are not far off full strength, and the Highlanders, who are probably a bit low on confidence, and it's in Australia. So, yeah.
The problem I come down to just looking at Brumbies team is because of how much I hate Andy Muirhead. So I look at the Brumbies wingers, and it's Muirhead and Cam Clark, and I'm like, oh, God, come on. Where is someone awesome? But
Tom Wright at fullback. Guys, last week of the game, Crusaders of the game. I can't speak.
You've truly lost it. I love it.
4:30 p.m. in Melbourne on Sunday. Woo, got there. Look, you got Crusaders out. You got Scotty Barrett for his 4 weeks from that red card. You got Joe Moody out as well. And then the Rebels, Richard Hardwick busted his knee and expected he could be out for long term as well. So a few changes coming in there, and the men back in so far confirmed. We got Rob Leota for his first game, the big unit starting to add some size to the pack. For the Rebels as well. Cameron Orr.
It's an interesting one because Cameron Orr's back starting as well. Yep. But and he hasn't been starting for a few weeks now, actually, which has been interestingly. Robbie, you talked about bringing some size. Rob Leota coming back. Yes. And I love Rob Leota, someone I was very excited about at the start of the season. But at the same time, that means Tamati Ioane's gone to the bench. So really probably not much size change. But no, with Hardwick gone, Wilkin getting promoted to the starting team, I think Wilkin's probably been the choice of those 7s for the Rebels. And Michael Wells moves to number 8. So, I mean, if I had it my way, look, I'd just stick Wells in at 7. Oh, no, actually, I'd get rid of Wells. I know he's the captain, but see you later, mate. And we'll have Leota at 6 and Tamati Ioane at 8. But I'm not the coach, so,
I think Tamati Ioane hasn't been quite as damaging as we were expecting when he first made his chance, though. I don't mind him coming off the bench, having a little bit less pressure and just getting a few minutes to get in there and be a wrecking ball again.
But it's true. But when you're playing a team like the Crusaders, you need to have as many players out on the field that can legitimately, possibly injure the other team and remove players from the field. So that's why I'd be running out with Tamati Ioane. But
that makes sense to me. Stacey Illy in that inside centre and Andrew Kellaway playing outside centre, which gives George Worth the opportunity to start on the wing again. And then no changes with Glenn Vaihu, Reece Hodge, the solid 11 and 15 options. I thought this was a pretty interesting option, to be honest. I don't really see Illy as someone that has an interchangeable skill set to go from 13 to 12.
No, I don't either. Was Illy 12 last week as well, or was someone else inside Kellaway?
I thought they had someone else.
I think they did have someone else. I was going to say, I don't know if you watched the game, but I actually quite liked the Kellaway at 13.
I'll take it back. That's exactly what they had last week.
They did have that last week. Okay, good. Shows how much we know. Well, he was obviously that unnoticeable that, we didn't take note of him. But no, I agree. I think Stacey Illy's probably a 13. I don't know how much 12 he's probably played anywhere. I've never seen him play 12 for any other team. But I did like Kellaway at 13 though, because they were just getting, I think you guys said it when I picked up Kellaway the first week he was back playing at wing, and you went, why? He's never going to get the ball in that Rebels team. And I was like, well, that's true. But so they've identified we need to get him the ball, and in the 13 jersey, they are able to get it out that far. And he's looked good with more touches. But I agree. Stacey Ely, don't know what he's doing at 12 there, but I guess they've lost Ray Nu'u. I mean, for mine, I've said it throughout the season, I'd be starting Carter Gordon at 10 and Natamura at 12, and then you could put Kellaway at 13 if you want to. But I don't know what this Stacey Ely at 12 business is.
And Jarrell Skelton's still not back in the side either. Like, center, give the guy a chance. I know he's just back from his ACL, but I don't know. Never, ever going to get a chance by the looks of it.
I will say I did walk past, when I was in Melbourne for the Formula One, I did walk past on the way to work one morning, Pone Fa'amasili, and mate, he was looking good. He was looking slim, looking very fit.
He better, mate. He's got Kabusilov. Like, just clearing it up.
He's going to have to work his ass back to get back in that starting team, absolutely. But he's supposed to be, I think he's maybe a week away or so, they said. So
yeah, that's right. We got the they were pretty good, actually, giving some good detail maybe a week or two ago. So that's all up on the casualty ward there as well. Right. So I guess we don't have any information about the Crusaders, but they're just going to continue to rotate. I feel like Sever Reese or Will Jordan are due a rest, and they're just going to rotate their back three.
To be clear, you meant Will Jordan in that scenario, didn't you? Not my player, Xavier Reese. He's definitely going to start. That's what you meant. Yeah, good.
Well, he's been so good, man. I wouldn't bench him, to be honest, but it doesn't seem to have anything to do with when you bench or start players in the Crusaders team. Other than that,
I reckon he has a pair of dice, you know what I mean, with their names on it. That's the only logically how can you make that decision? Yeah, as a coach.
Yeah, I'm with you. Definitely with you. So look, there'll just be the same little merry-go-round there to see what happens. But what do you reckon? We can't look into that too much, I guess. The Rebels have been a lot better with their consistency, their side, and I thought they were pretty impressive against the Reds last week. Is it enough in Melbourne, home game, hopefully with a bit of a crowd, to get people out there and to get the Rebels in the game or not?
Look, I think if anyone's going out to watch the Rebels Crusaders, even if they're Rebels fans wearing Rebels jerseys, they're going out to watch the Crusaders. Really, that's what they bought tickets to the Crusaders game in Melbourne at the Rebels home ground. I mean, this is what else? We don't even need. We're not, as you said, we're not going to talk about who's going to play in that back line. But you know, who did I just say was chalk and cheese? I was saying Rod Iona and Noah Loloseo. These two teams, this is chalk and cheese. You know, you just those two back lines. The only we ran out of steam before we started prepping for this pod. I didn't get any notes in for this game, but I just said Crusaders by 200 because it's going to be an absolute whitewash this game. So
is that your tip?
It's not. No, my tip isn't Crusaders by 200. But look, I'm happy. I'm going to say Crusaders by 50. I'm happy to chuck it all the way out there.
By 50?
By 50. I just think they're going to absolutely wipe them off the face of this planet.
Wow.
All right, okay, I'll go 40. Sorry, I'm getting too excited. Right, Crusaders by 40. I'll keep it big. I'll keep it big, but I'll go by 40.
I've gone 22.
Okay. All right. Wait, who did you tip? You tipped a bigger one. Someone by 30. Who was that?
Yeah, that's Fijian and Drua, mate. Blues versus Fijian and Drua.
Okay. No. So look, I'd pick bigger margin Crusaders. I have clearly picked a much bigger margin, but and look, I guess the only questions with Crusaders is really in the forwards rotating. So because there's no Scott Barrett, we'll see Zach Gallagher and Quinton Strange is still out injured as well. So it'll be Zach Gallagher and the new guy that came on. I don't know if Mitch Dunshay's back yet, but it'll be Dominic Gardiner, who's the guy who plays lock or six.
Gardiner. Dunshay's gone for a while.
Yeah, so two very young locks, but look, the back row will still be no doubt Tom Christie, and then either a combination of Blackadder, Matera, and Grace, and the Crusaders will just have way too much. Mate, this is Richie Moe versus the whole team. Like he's going to cut them to pieces. But
I hope so. He's on my team. That's why I've got him for this moment. Hopefully, he just takes it on his own back again when he hogs the ball. It's best. Look. On that note, let's go to the Deserto.
What you gonna do with that?
Deserto.
Do what, do I did that, do that, do what, do that, did that, do what, do that, did that, do that.
Where we've decided now, rather than eating dessert, we're just going to air grievances every week. But we've actually got a discussion point for our proper old school dessert as well this week. But you've got a grievance first of all, don't you?
Well, I think I already I spoiled it. I spoiled it earlier in the pod, but I just said that, and we've said this many times, but this is a super round. It could have been the round you really made a point of making the Kiwi sides announce all of their Super Rugby team lineups on the Wednesday, like the Aussie teams have. There's been plenty of call-outs for this on Twitter throughout the season. It's just so good naming your teams. And with the Kiwi teams, we already even know, I know at least two of the teams. The Crusaders pick their team on Monday and they tell the team who's playing. And then they just keep that information to themselves all week. Just selfish, frankly, to be honest with you. The only team we want to know if the players are playing, tell us on Monday. But
it's not going to make a difference if they win or lose. Let's be honest. Just tell us who's there, mate. It's not changing anything.
Absolutely. So anyway, that's just another one of my grievances. I thought this could be the week. Finally, all the teams in one place. They get all the lineups out. That wasn't to be. So we'll just have to have it slowly trickled out throughout tomorrow while we all sit there hitting refresh on Twitter throughout the day.
Mate, with 2 Sunday games, you may find we don't even hear about the Highlanders and Crusaders teams until Friday.
Harry, don't bring up worst case scenarios like that. Okay, I don't need that type of negativity in my life. But that's very possible. So
very good. So on that note, the actual dessert. Now that the grievances have been aired,
okay.
How many wins will the Aussie fixed teams, including the Fijian and Drua? I think no, it's not including the Fijian and Drua because I don't want to count Moana Pacifica into the count either. How many times will the Aussies beat the Kiwis specifically in the back end of this competition? So obviously that means each Aussie team has 5 Kiwi sides to play.
Mm-hmm.
25 games?
Yep. Nice. Maths.
Good.
That's good.
How many wins for the Tars? Now, I can tell you I put this up on a Twitter poll a few days ago because I really wanted to see where the crowd was at before we said our piece. Did you have a look at the poll at all?
I haven't, no. So I'm hoping you're going to tell me now to
triple. I am, yeah. So just so you can kind of gauge your own response to see how out of touch you are. Triple figures on the response, which was good for how many votes. We had pretty even between. So my options were 2 or less, 3, 4, or 5 or more. So the most popular answer with 32.4% of the vote was 2 or less. The next most popular was 5 or more, 28.4%. So pretty close, 32-28.
I think that sums up us as a people, Australians. Yeah.
The naive and the educated. Yeah. No. And then 4 wins had 21% and 3 wins had 17%. So if you actually look at it, it is without a word of a lie, 50% think 3 or less and 50% exactly think 4 or more. Split to the 0.1%.
Yeah, but how many Twitter accounts did you have to go and open up just to even those numbers up to get those desired results? You know what I mean? How many times did you have to ask?
So many, mate. So many. You don't want to see.
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah, I think
the line is 3.5, basically.
Yeah. No, that does really speak volumes of Aussie rugby fans. And I think it's exactly what I was saying when we were first starting to predict these games. I said, depending on what our chat would have been before we started recording tonight, and maybe if Nelson was here as well, who normally overwhelmingly comes with the Australian positivity, I feel like I would have tipped like these Australian teams to win most of these games, not the Rebels Crusaders. But we've gone the other way. Don't think we're going to win any, really. So,
well, let's go through it. Rather than just giving a blanket number, we'll work it out and then we can add them up. Rebels, how many wins for them in this competition?
Well, I mean, look, is it just real simple? Who can beat the Highlanders? And is it the Reds and Brumbies can beat the Highlanders? And there's your 2 games.
I don't think it's that easy, man. I also don't know how likely it is that one Kiwi side loses 2 games itself. I was thinking the Rebels will probably get 0 wins. The Force will probably get 0 wins.
Yep.
The Waratahs are a chance for 1, but I might just be naive and too positive.
We'll have to as New South Wales men, we'll have to leave them at a chance for 1. Yep.
Absolutely. So there's 1. And then that obviously leaves the Brumbies and the Rebels. Sorry, the Brumbies and the Reds. Sorry. How many wins do you think our 2 best sides are capable of or likely to get?
like off the top of my head, immediately the max that they would get each would be 2 wins out of 5 games each.
So it's possible that we get 5 wins, best case scenario. I think that's best case as well. I'm with you. My gut says to me that they're not going to both get 2 wins.
No.
One of those games that they should have won. One of those teams will get 2, one will get 1, and if we're lucky, the Tars will get 1. So I'm at 3 or 4. I'm going to be optimistic and say 4 wins for the Aussies.
All right. Well, I'm going to go. I was iffing and toing and throwing between 2 or 3. So I'm going to go optimistic and say 3. Because the Brumbies are going to get 1, the Reds will get 1, and somehow the Tars will get 1. There we go.
Wow. Very good. Okay, love it.
And we'll have to get back to you with what Nelson says, but I'm guessing Nelson will be in the 5+ category. So we can just pencil him in for that now.
Wins. I think he went 25 wins. Yeah, 100%. No doubt. All right. Well, very good, mate. So you've got 3 wins to the Aussies. I've got 4, and Nelson's got 25. I guess in a few weeks' time we can look back at that and see how naive we were. Here's to the false hope that we always carry into this part of the season. My favourite time of year before we've played a Kiwi side, and I think we are the world's best team.
That's it, mate. Look, we've got another 24 or 48 hours left to rejoice in it. And the only last thing I'll say, because this was a great pod and we need to wrap it up, but is I don't know about you, I'm really looking forward to our draft punishment at the end of this year with my arch nemesis Nabung really firming up as the favourite. So for all those fantasy managers out there that listen to the pod, I don't know what your punishments are for your leagues, but we're remaking a music video clip, something like a Miley Cyrus wrecking ball, and the loser has to shot for shot remake that. It's going to be choice. So we'll be sure to put the YouTube link out to that once it's done.
I'd be getting on the diet if I was him. Dead set. Straight away. You need some time to get your rig in order. I would as well. This isn't a personal attack on him. I just think now's the time where push comes to shove, you're in trouble. You need to get the diet. You need to sort it out.
That's it. I mean, that's the only reason that I'm able to still eat so much food is because I'm just so confident that I'm never going to be bottom of the table.
Me too, mate. Me too. Erica's hoping I start losing more games so that I'll go on a diet, but it's not happening.
That's true, actually. That's what I need. I need to lose, really. That's how I'll finally crack it. But anyway. Right. No, all right. Well, this has been good. What was this? We said season 5, episode 15? 15, 16?
No, completely wrong. I don't know why you put yourself in that position. Guys, last call. Please, despite Craig's not knowing what episode it is, I think it's 16.
It was 16, yeah.
Please leave a review on whatever source you watch this. Please like and follow and do all those things. We don't ask for these kind of things very much, but it does make a big, big difference. Share it with someone on Twitter. Share it with someone on Facebook. We really appreciate it. So thanks.
And go create another 4 or 5 Twitter accounts and follow us on that as well. So just get those numbers up.
Yeah, cool. See you later.
Catch you next one.